What's going on, you guys? Mr. Garcia here, talking about percents and relative change, our second section in Module 1. In this video, I'm going over 4 questions, number 1, 3, 5, and 8. Nice little 4-ball for these 8 questions. So let's jump in. Percentages. If you didn't know the word percent, it actually means per 100. That's why per, and then cent is 100. So we're really just talking about a fraction. So we're comparing a number divided by 100. So 25%, 0.25. 50%, 0.5. That stuff. So whenever we have percentages and we are looking at a portion of a number and we got to multiply, we always want to convert that percentage to a rate by doing 25 divided by 100. Now, there was also a trick you may have learned. Oh man, what is that? Elementary, middle school probably, where you take the number, move the decimal 2 places over. Great, that's awesome. Just don't fall for it whenever you have like a small percentage. If you do that trick, there's secretly an extra 0 right there. So just be careful. That being said, if I'm looking at percentage and I'm trying to figure out a portion of whatever context we're looking at, that means multiplication. So in this case, if I'm saying Manuel is depositing 25% of $200 into a savings account, how much is he depositing? I'm taking part of his 200, as in 25% of his 200, and that's how much I'm depositing, which in this case would just be 50. So percentages, very, very nice. And in context, they look at like a bunch of different ways. We'll look at them here in this context, and then later on, we'll look at them in context of exponential functions. So when you think about the classic discounts with a sale, a coupon, a whatever, that means it's increasing or decreasing by a certain amount. That's your percentage. So if we're increasing, we're going to add your rate. If we're decreasing, we're going to subtract it. When we say 1, it's just like the original. So like 20% off will end up being 80% because it's 1 minus 0.2. Same thing, if it's 10% marked up for some reason, then it'll be 1 plus 10% or 1 plus 0.1. So in this case, we got a shirt that's $60 and we're taking away 20% of it. So as a reminder, 20% over 100 is 0.2. So how much are we taking away? And then what is his sale price? So you can do this 2 different ways. All right. And again, it doesn't really matter which way you do it. I'll show both ways just to make sure you see that they're both going to be accurate. If I asked you how much is a discount, you would do 60 times 0.2. 60 times 0.2 is going to be $12. And then you would do 60 minus 12. Minus because it's a discount. It's going down, which is 48. You can also clump that all into one. We're going to do 60 times 1 minus 0.2. This is essentially the rate, and then you're taking into effect this part already, okay? And actually, if you're really curious, these are the same exact thing. 60 times 1, and then 60 times 0.2. Just saying. Regardless, though, if I ask you what is 20% off, you're essentially looking at 80% of the item. So 60 times 0.8 also gets you 48. Both ways are legitimate. Both ways are awesome. When you look at number 4 later on, hint, hint, they would look at something like this, by the way. All right, number 5, same thing for percentages, but now we're trying to see, hey, how much is it increasing or decreasing by? As in, you're trying to figure out the percent. Now, there's a couple of different ways to approach this. One way is this. This is awesome. This works. If you don't like it, great. I'll show you a different way. So let me just show you this way first, and then I will pause and show you a different way to approach this. We're starting at 50, and we're increasing to $65. What is the percent we increase by is the question. So first off, how much did we increase in the first place? So it looks like we increased, is it $15? We did 65 minus 50, all right? So $15 was the increase. Dang, that sucks. But to figure out how much you increased by, we'll look at that difference over the original price. So $15 over $50, because 50 was the original, 15 was the difference. Do 15 divided by 5, and that will be 0.3. So that's a rate. So let's change that to percentage. Earlier, to change a percentage to a rate, we divided. Now, to change a rate to percentage, we'll multiply, which does get you 30%. Yay, that's awesome. That's great. One thing I'm going to emphasize in these videos is you are taking an untimed test, so use it to your advantage. Let's say you're thinking, man, I have no idea what to do, but I feel really, really confident here, especially this stuff. Think of it like this, guys. We had an item that cost $60, and in this case, it was discounted, but let's say $60, and it increased to $80. How much was the initial percentage? Well, 60 times some percentage should have been 80. In this case, they did 60 times 0.8 to get you 48. Same idea here. If you had 50 times one of these percentages should have been $15. That way you can kind of see, 50 times 0.3 definitely is going to be $15. You can also say, well, treat these as these are rates that are growing. So 1 plus the rate. So like 1 plus 0.2, that times 50. 1 plus 0.25, that times 50. Which one of these would get you $65? You can use your test to your advantage because guess what? It is a multiple choice test. So definitely use that to your advantage. Now, number 6, it's the same idea. So maybe try out and see what makes sense for you on these questions. I almost guarantee you'll see a couple of these questions on the TSI exam. All right. Last one's going to be number 8 is what if you have multiple things happening? Because sometimes only one thing is not enough. So the good news is nothing too crazy happens. We just literally just apply the changes one at a time. That's it. So if you have multiple percentages, great. If you have a percentage and then a fee, great. It doesn't really matter. You just apply it one at a time. So let's look at number 8. We have a $6 item that was increased by 20% and then it was decreased by 20. No, it is not 60. That would be so awesome if it was, but it's not. Let's see why. So let's look at the increase part first. 20% is 0.2. So how much did it increase by? 60 times 1 plus 0.2 or 1.2. That would be $72. So when we increased it by 20%, it worked out to be $72. That's expensive, but the good news is they, for some reason, decided to mark it down. Probably because they realized no one was going to buy it for $72. $72 times how much it was decreased, which in this case was still 20%. So 1 minus 20% or 0.2. So 72 times 0.8 works out to be 57.60. So it's actually good. It's actually like you save yourself some money. This store is doing a bad job. Oh well. Thank you so much for watching. If you have questions, especially about number 6, different ways to approach it, or number 7, let me know. Or even about number 2 and number 4 as well. If not, thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Mavericks.